Hello and welcome to Microsoft Hates Greg. My name is Greg Deckler, and today we're here to talk about the November 2024 update to Power BI Desktop. And this release is notable in that is the first release that we're getting after we've learned that we're going to have to pay 40% more for Power BI, right? So an extra 50 bucks a year per user to be able to use Power BI. So you have to ask yourself the question, right? Is anything in this update worth anything? Would you pay? Is it worth $50 a month to pay for this new version of Power BI Desktop and Pro, features that we have in the service, right? So, and you can see if you scroll down to this announcement, right? You can see I got my Zoom at working back in, 40% increase is borderline criminal. And I'm sure that they're going to, they won't approve that and it'll be deleted off the thing. But I just thought it was funny to, just give them throw a little shade out there for it. Now, before we get into November 24th, I do have to say that I feel really bad for the October 2024 feature summary. Poor Jason, up until yesterday, this up here, the in the banner was the September 2024 feature summary. And it's for years, like almost like for as long as this has existed, this up here has almost always been 99% has always been the latest Power BI desktop feature summary. So I'm sorry, Jason, that apparently too many people at Microsoft are just bad at their job, and they can't get their act together. Which again is further proof of that, right? If you go back to here, it's like they can't even get their own software into their own store, right? I mean, how sad is that? Usually, that goes out in the store, then the announcement comes out like a few days later about that has all the features in it. This one was like the reverse, right? The announcement came out about the feature summary, right, and then nothing in the store, and people were actually on the community asking, hey, where the hell is this thing? Well, people bad at their job, Microsoft. Bottom line. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, let's get into it. Is there anything in this release that's worth paying 40% more for Power BI Pro? And the answer is going to be obviously no. There's really nothing much in this at all. I mean, if you notice, like there's a bunch of preview features, right? Just a tons of preview features. And then we have Copilot, which for our 40% more price that we're being jacked up and being gouged for Power BI Pro, we don't even get Copilot. So, I mean, we're not even getting these features. We have to pay even more to get Copilot, right? We need to have Fabric, right? Then we have to pay for Copilot for Fabric and all this other nonsense, right? And so this stuff is like, who cares about this, right? Doesn't matter. Now, the path layer for Azure Map Visuals, this is actually kind of cool. It's not worth paying $50 a month for, $50 a year for extra, but this is what you can do with it. So I already had a map, kind of tutorial and stuff built. So basically, it's kind of hokey in terms of a little bit in terms of what you have to do. Get rid of the legend. Why isn't this working all of a sudden? Oh, because I'm not signed in. Pretty sure I am signed in. Well, that's kind of cool. Microsoft. Let's try signing out and then sign back in. Yep, that's what I just typed. Okay, there we go. Now it suddenly works. Great. Buggy. Anyway, you guys all saw that I was signed in, right? So anyway. So this is what you get with the standard map visual. Now what you have to do is you kind of have to kind of monkey with your data a little bit. So it's a little disappointing in that regard, I guess, because you have to have all the points on the path. But what I did here is I created a path column, AA, BBA. Then I created an order column so that I could say that I want to go from this point to this point to this point, right? And then you have to actually create a legend column, which seems kind of stupid to me because you already have the path, but I'll show you what happens when you do. So what you do is you take your path, and you go down here to this path ID. And the minute that you do that, you throw that in there. So you can see here it's going from Columbus to Pennsylvania to PA to Cleveland. That's not what I want, right? But it automatically draws those lines. So if I put the order in here, now it knows, okay, I want to go from there, here to here to there, right? And then the crazy part about this is you would think that you could also use the path for your legend because this is a path. and this is a path, and I want them to be different colors. But if you do that, put this in legend, it doesn't work. So it's like, oh, group by or projection, rejected indices found in group by or like, I don't, makes no sense to me what that is saying exactly. But so you have to have a separate column for your legend. And now I have my A path and my B path, whatever. So, I mean, this is kind of cool. I think I saw somebody do something along these lines years and years ago. I can't remember. I think they did it with a custom map visual, or it was like some kind of other trick. And I was like really disappointed that the core visuals couldn't do it. So I always thought that this was a cool feature. Am I ever going to use this? Probably not. To be perfectly honest. I mean, in the announcement for this, it's kind of funny. They're like, "Oh, now airlines can use this to track their routes and things like that." Like, my God, man, if an airline company is using Power BI to like optimize and figure out their routes and make sure they don't crash into other planes and stuff like that, God forbid I don't want to fly on that airline. Okay, I'm just putting that out there straight up. So anyway, visual calculations again, preview. Who cares? It's a crappy band-aid for the measure totals problem, in my opinion. Cell alert and activator. Again, it's real-time intelligence is Fabric. We're paying 40% extra. We don't get this feature, right? So why are you, anyway, who cares? The small multiples for the new card version. Now, this is actually I thought this was going to solve a problem that I was having, which is I was trying to build this kind of a Kanban board in Power BI. I thought, okay, if I can use the small multiples, then I could get these categories, right? And it does sort of work that way. So here, is what I've been able to build. The problem with the card visual is that it's not a multi-line card visual. So in the Kanban board, I want like this information display. This is using the multi-line, multi-row card, right? I need this information displayed here. There we go. And in each one of the cards. And obviously, when you try to do that with the card visual and put multiple data fields in there, it creates multiple cards, which is not what is desired. So until this becomes a multi-row card visual, then or they have some, it always never made any sense to me that they had these as two separate things. They should be just one, and you should be able to have a setting that says, hey, are these all in one card or not in one card? Something along those lines, instead of having two separate visuals for it. But the other thing that's really kind of dumb about this card visual is this accent bar. I don't know. I have no idea how this accent bar is supposed to work, or it's just a bug, right? So if I go into my conditional formatting, right, I have got these rules defined that last status, whatever it is, it's my status for each one of these cards, and it says ready, green, and overdue is red. I have no idea where the blue and the black are coming from, right? And I have no idea why this card visual, which should be the red one, or this should be one of these should be red essentially, but it's not. It's just black. So I have no idea how this is actually working. And if I get rid of it, right, then it's not. Or I set this to be like, oh, set this to be my field value of measure 2. Yeah, measure 2, and I say okay. Again, I get this black, blue, green. I don't know where these colors are coming from, right? Because the measure 2, all it says is, hey, if it's overdue, then it should be red. If it's ready, it should be green. So like, where are my reds, right? I don't know. It kind of works for these, right? This works. This card is overdue, so it's red. This card's ready, so it's green. So it works on these, but I don't know if it's just a preview feature, why it's not working. But it's kind of funny too, all the example they provide in here. Oh, about the small multiples. They have this nice looking card visual. Like, that's not how it looks like when you actually create your card visual, right? When you first create your card visual, it looks like this, right? This is what it looks like. And it takes a lot of work, actually a lot of clicks in that to actually get it to look anywhere decent or anywhere close to what it looks like in the picture. It takes a lot of formatting work to do it. So anyway, I just always find that kind of stuff funny. All right, so what else? I mean, there's basically at this point, there's literally nothing else. The new visual, I haven't played around with this new text slicer visual. I haven't tested whether the bug is still there in terms of like, I activated one slicer, but not the first new slicer that they came out with, and it didn't show up. So I got to test that again, see if they've fixed that. Define new measures in the data. This is a worthless feature. Metric sets. Metrics, again, we're paying 40% more, but we don't get this feature because this requires Fabric capacity to use metric sets. You can create metrics with just Pro, but for metric sets, from what I'm reading in the documentation, you need to have fabric capacity, so worthless. Announcing performance improvements for models with calculation groups and format strings in Excel. I mean, so they're adding all of these new improvements and stuff to Excel, but we're not paying 40% more for Excel, right? And if you haven't noticed by now, this is going to be a common theme for pretty much every one of my videos from now on is harping about the 40% increase in Power BI Pro. I'm just gonna keep harping on it. The DLP policies again. Who cares? It's preview. It's who cares. A bunch of stuff for TMDL extensions for development, right? This is actually Visual Studio Code. And then of course with like every single Power BI update, really, it's all about, the most things that come out are actually visuals from third parties, which KPI Viz, I did a video on this. Fantastic. I mean, this would actually be worth paying $50 more per year for. KPI by Power Viz by itself would easily justify that cost. But nothing else in this, but you have to pay extra for that. Okay, you have to pay KPI for that. It's not included with the base price for Pro, but I would pay you that $50 a year for that. There's nothing in this update that I'd be even willing to pay the extra 2 cents a year for, to be perfectly honest. So that's it. That's all I had for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.